Just for today, we'll be going over the rewards for the accompanying Tempest trials for our bridal banner. Score the maximum 50,000 points to earn up to 42 orbs, 11,000 feathers, and 80 sacred coins. This month we got Ephemera 5 divine codes and 1 dark blessing for Mythic Loki. The sacred seals on offer are attack and defense finish and chill speed and defense. Our reward unit will be Groom Alcryst, looking very dapper in his white suit. You can earn a 4-star and 5-star copy, and we'll talk about him more later on. First up, new Sacred Seals. Attack and Defense Finish 3 states, if unit is within 3 spaces of an ally, grant plus 6 attack and defense, and if special is ready or has already triggered, you get plus 5 true damage on hit during combat. Cute detail, attack and defense finish as an A skill has only been on a single unit, Alcryst's brother Diamant. Tier 3 finish skills are excellent, and I would say this is a new priority upgrade if you're short on sacred coins. 3 spaces is pretty easy to work with, and as long as you aren't super solo, then it's an easy plus 6 stat booster, and you potentially get an extra damage when special is ready. The tier 3 doesn't have the healing portion of the tier 4 skill, but this is basically a way better option than any of the more defensive positioning seals. It's better than bonds, stances, arguably forms too, 1 less stat point for less strict positioning, and you possibly get more damage if you got a special ready. Obvious synergy with the A skill finish skills, 10 true damage per hit could be quite nice if you have low quit on special builds. Overall, hopefully we get more finished sacred seals in the future, definitely a must upgrade for me. Next sacred seal is Chill Speed and Defense 2. Every turn, inflict minus 5 speed and defense on the enemy with the highest speed plus defense total. Another dual chill variant, this one may target those faster, physically bulky brawlers. As always, chill debuffs always tag someone. These dual variants may not be as predictable as their single stat versions, but you do get more debuff stats overall. If you got a debuff focused team or just don't know what else to run, then chills are fine sacred seals. They aren't bad, they aren't really fancy though, they just do their thing every turn. Last new Sacred Seal that's been here in up to 8.5 for a bit already is from the 82nd Squad Assault. Squad A's CD3 grants plus 5 HP and plus 3 attack and defense. It's a flat stat booster, this is just a repeat of Squad A's BT. Extra HP is quite nice when you got percent damage reduction, and you still get a nice plus 3 stat boost for 2 other stats. While something like attack and defense finish may provide way more damage, these Squad A seals are excellent all-arounders if you want a little more bulk with some stats. Since they are flat stat boosters, you could also use them with mechanics that use higher stat values like the new Embla for her quit on support. I think the original Squad A seals in this category are worth having, so if you want another copy of them, then here you go.
It's me, the worst of all grooms. Marriage? I'm not destined for anything so grand, but if I did meet someone, I would try to make them happy.
Joining his retainer on the banner, Groom Alcryst is here to strut his stuff. Unfortunately, Alcryst has lost his rearm skills, but he brings some new gifts and some nice stats. Alcryst will be our first Heroic Grail seasonal ult for Engage. For this ult, he's a red infantry archer. I don't know what is going on, but the devs have an obsession with red bow Heroic Grail units. We now have 3 free-to-play red archers, and they all came within Gen 8. It's also been a very archer-heavy Heroic Grail year. I believe this will be the 6th archer out of 20 Grail units. It's definitely the most weapon type we've gotten. Now, we did a whole thing about red infantry archers when Caster released, and while Alcryst won't be free from some of these same criticisms, he does do something different with his kit. For stats, Alcryst has 40 HP, 44 attack, 46 speed, 35 defense, 23 res. He has a speed super boon, and which ties him with Winter Claude for the fastest free-to-play archer. His base attack is fine, and Alcryst will have decent defense at the cost of magical bulk. More on stats later. For his weapon, no arcane bow, but another inheritable. Harp Bow Plus is a 12-might weapon. If unit initiates or the foe is ranged, grant plus for all stats, deal true damage equal to 15% speed, and reduce damage from the foe's first attacks, with an S, by X% during combat. For the first fight in either phase, X is 60% DR, for the second fights onwards, it's 30%. Harp Bow is the ranged equivalent to Bridal Nail's Dragonstone. Basically it's the same effects, but less percent damage reduction. They don't want any archer able to become Claude so easily. Now, one big difference is that while this bow doesn't have a positioning requirement for enemy phase, it only works against ranged initiators. The devs do not want you running a 60% DR bow with close counter. I get why, but at the same time, they hand out distant counter like candy, and at this point, I don't know if there's really any kind of balance when it comes to melee versus ranged. Anywho, Harp Bow will offer the highest percent DR out of any inheritable bow, plus 4 stats with some true damage scaling off speed are fine, but it's mostly about that extra protection. The percent damage reduction for this weapon does work against brave attacks, but only the first 2, As usual, ideally you want to use Harp on a faster archer who's not going to get doubled as much. There is no %DR for those follow-up attacks. For Alcryst's base kit, he has drawback to move allies, he brings bonus doubler 3, and to actually use it he has attack and speed 03 for self-buffing. Stay near his bride for +5 attack and speed. Double that in combo with bonus doubler. This is the first time we've had bonus doubler 3 as a free-to-play skill. Just a reminder, it only upgrades into bonus doubler 4. Distant and close bonus doubler upgrade from distant and close counter, respectively. To make the most of bonus doubler, you really want full self buffs. With just +5 attack and speed from 03, it's not really any different than attack and speed ideal, and if your buffs are neutralized, then it's a dead skill. If you can get Alcryst some defense and res field buffs, he can double those to use with his %DR. It would have been fun to use close bonus doubler with Harpbow's 60% DR, but the devs killed that idea. Overall, this base kit is quite nice for fodder. Attack speed 03 was on Host and Ninja Tremere, but more sources is good. I'm not the craziest fan of bonus doubler 4, but Alcryst makes it easier to pick up. Maybe they'll add another tier for upgrade one day. Now, for those merging up Alcryst, the neutral nature is going to give him +1 HP, attack and defense. Obviously, as one of the fastest free-to-play archers, that speed super boon is enticing, and more attack is always good if you want to go for a full offensive build. Maybe defense res boons if you really want to play around with that %DR. Onto the Heroic Grail Archer Comparisons. Is Groom Alcryst inferior to Ciro? The main issue with Caster was he didn't really bring enough to be that exciting when Ciro kicked off Gen 8 BST and is a trainee. Caster only had a higher attack, but his skills weren't that great, and Ciro has his own weapon. For Alcryst, he actually outguns Ciro offensively, and with a speed super boon, he's actually 3 points faster. However, Ciro has more HP, and Aptitude Arrows is an entirely stat-focused weapon with +10 to all stats when neutralizing stat debuffs. Ciro, being an early Gen 8 trainee with his own weapon, also makes him a prime arena unit for those chasing arena score. Alcryst is coming in toward the end of the current BST generation, and when you can +10 him, well, we'll almost be at Gen 9. Still, Groom Alcryst is coming in with an incredible offensive stat spread. While Ciro may have better bulk, there are builds who only care about a pure offense. That's where Alcryst can pull ahead. Similar to Caster though, I don't really get why they didn't just make Alcryst a different color. There is no free-to-play green infantry archer, there is one free-to-play blue infantry archer. If we are talking colorless, Alcryst massively outguns the other options. Of course, not having a unique weapon like Young Ennis's DR-piercing bow does hurt, and unless something changes, Alcryst is not getting a refine in like 5 years or whatever. Heck, I don't even know if his rearmed form is going to get personal refine. If not, that kinda sucks, to be honest. Moving on, comparing Alcryst with our speedy demon archers, we finally have someone who outspeeds Dorothy. Of course, Dorothy does the highest attack, and even Etier beats Alcryst at the cost of speed. Still, if you want to go fast, then Groom Alcryst is very impressive. His physical bulk is also not too bad. If Alcryst was colorless, he would have had a more clear-cut niche for himself as the modern Heroic Grail offensive archer. I don't really understand why they keep trying to pit dudes against Ciro when they already gave him so many advantages. Onto builds and playstyles, Groom Alcryst has a fairly straightforward plan. He's a high attack and speed archer who can shore up his defenses with Harpbow's 60% DR. It's not Fallen Star, but still a very respectable amount of protection. Best skill to pair with his weapon is no follow-up in the Beast Knot or Sacred Seal. Harpbow only protects from first attacks, so not getting hit by free follow-up attacks is best. No follow-up also gives Alcryst clear doubles if he outspeeds. He can double dip on his weapon's true damage as well. If you're going to stick with bonus doubler, stay near an ally to buff up with attack and speed Oath. Try to get demons from his field buffs from somewhere, otherwise it's no different from just running attack and speed ideal or something like solo. If you want, you can use bonus doubler as a Sacred Seal. A lot of stat potential if you have full buffs, but if you lose those field buffs, Alcryst would now be running with 2 dead skills. For some other options, you could do Desperation, use the 60% DR to fall into Desperation rings safely or safer. Guards in his initiation tool to block specials. Flashing Blade can help Alcryst proc his own specials like his signature Luna. Since we have a % DR weapon, Squad Ace's extra HP is a nice boon. You could also use the new Attack and Defense Finish Seal since it's just a solid skill all around. All in all, Alcryst has a pretty competent base kit if you just want to run him on a budget. For premium skills, upgrading to Physical No Follow provides half DR piercing. Since Harpbow does give 60% damage reduction for that first fight in either phase, you could opt for some mixed phase skills. Attack and Speed Ideal plus Oath 4 or Pledge would be fun. Pledge could let Alcryst fire back 2 counter specials if he's hit first. It also lets him proc Luna or Deadeye if he is hit back while doubling. It would be nice to fit some sustain in this setup. You could run Attack and Speed Finish 4. If you want to engage, then you could do Emblem Art Slang plus times Pulse. instantly charge 2 cooldown specials, make sure finish 4 is primed for both attacks, and potentially double special procs. In terms of survivability, you can stack more percent DR. If Alcryst runs 2 30% DR skills, then he will become Clawed with around 80% damage reduction, albeit only on those first hits. Your options for this are Remote A skills, Brash 4, Guard 4, Nausea Disrupt 4, and Fleeting Echo. I think only the B slot has percent DR skills for enemy phase. Maybe you could run a weird Nausea Disrupt build. I will also mention potential Lagu's Friend usage. You cut Harp Bow's percent DR in half, but that's still 30% DR to combo with flat DR, and then DR piercing specials and extra true damage. I think this is an intriguing build, but Alcryst may not be the best candidate. His base defense isn't that bad, but there's also a couple heroic grow archers who have mid-40s res. Sadly, perhaps this is why Harp Bow does not work with close counter. If you really want CC, Arcane Astron has 30% DR to try and tank with. Now for other playstyles, Groom Alcryst can just borrow these skills from his rearmed self, basically the same stats but red. Arcane Dark Bow is a slang bow with offense no fault plus desperation. It's simply going for the 1-2 tap and hopefully the foe's dead. With Flash Sparrow, hit 1 charges Deadeye, hit 2 procs it. Now we don't have rearm Alcryst's unique B skill, however there kinda is a perfect replacement for it. Assassin Strike is basically a weaker version of Get Behind Me, except it has that 7 instant damage to make up. However, Assassin Strike does not have no guard. This is where Speed and Defense Tempo 4 comes in. No guard, Speed and Defense debuffs, and instead of true damage scaling off the foe's defense stat, you get half DR piercing. That may be better, although when Deadeye procs, obviously that's already piercing full percent DR skills. Now instead of defense and res smoke, you could just keep attack and speed oath, and of course we just want a full attack and speed sacred seal, simple player phase initiate a roll. If you want to mess around with builds, Alcryst has a bunch of fun inheritables to play with. First, let's talk Brave Bows. Besides the standard Brave Bow, we have a couple Ninja Brave Bow options, with Ninja Reyna's from the past year being the best, and it has built-in warping. There is also the White Cap Bow, but Alcryst must outspeed for Brave attacks. It can output more damage than a Brave Bow, but without the speed win, it falls flat. Now for Brave Bow builds, no follow-up to quad is excellent, and you could run percent DR skills to get those quads. You could also run Desperation 4. If you just want damage, Assassin Strike or Tempo for specials, these are full player phase builds, just like Arcane Dark Bow, just ideally we're going to go for quad attacks. A fun inheritable is the Golden Yule Bow from Winter Clawed. It grants instant cooldown based on movement of the initiator. Unless you are warping, Alcryst will only get 2 cooldown normally, so you can use Time's Pulse to get that extra help, or you can use allies who inflict penalties, since that also grants the max -3 cooldown. Either way, with 3 instant cooldown, you can proc Deadeye immediately. We can now run double finish skills for +10 true damage on top. If you wanted, you could try to run Luna plus Special Spiral. Lagu's Friend also works, although it's not as exciting on a squishier unit compared to someone like Nurgle. Now if you want to order some extra cheese at the drive-thru, then we can combo our instant Deadeye with Speed Preempt. Fastest free-to-play archer would indeed have the best chance to outspeed for that ranged advantage. Vanish proc into instant DR piercing special, yeah, that's pretty hilarious. This weapon is so crazy. Last, let's talk about White Wind Bow builds, or thanks to Candace, you can use her Lucrative Bow Plus. These weapons grant no follow-up and no panic statuses. It then grants bonus attack and speed scaling with every positive status on Alcryst plus every negative status on the foe. This bonus is uncapped, so in heavy status granting or inflicting team setups, these weapons can rack up a lot of attack and speed. For builds, you can use Lucrative or White Wind Bow for prime for activation. It's a little risky, but another close counter option. Since it grants no panic, you could also use it for bonus doubler with full buffing setups. Maybe run a percent DRB skill like Guard 4. You could also be annoying with Tempo plus Guard on top of no follow-up, just a bunch of annoying skills. You could run Guard Echo, it'd be pretty nice for these setups. Lucrative and White Wind Bow are mainly about no follow-up though, so it's a lot of potential builds. You could focus on player phase or mixed phase / generalist setups. On the topic of generalist builds, Arcane Astron is fine for Alcryst due to just how powerful Slaying is. He can use the free follow-up to counter follow-up denial, but generally, full no follow-up effects are better. Nastron does have 30% damage reduction and grants a lot of bonus attack for Deadeye scaling. I mean, now with the emblems, you could do something like Nastron plus Emblem Marth plus Time's Pulse. That's another instant Deadeye setup. Engage is all about crazy emblem combos, and Groom Alcryst retains those options thanks to the great lineup of inheritable weapons. In conclusion, pretty decent Tempest Trials. Attack and Defense Finish is an awesome Sacred Seal, only for infantry, but I would put that near the top for upgrade priority. As for Groom Alcryst, stat-wise, he is kinda just a red version of his RAM self. He is tied for fastest free-to-play archer in the game with Winter Claude, but is in first place if we're just talking about infantry. His base attack is also great, and he does have higher offensive stats than Zero. Unfortunately, Zero comparisons will still have to be made. Trainee BST and unique weapon, plus releasing at the start of the current beast generation, kinda just makes it impossible to top Zero for something like an arena team role. Still, Groom Alcryst holds his own. Harp bow offers up to 60% DR for one fight per phase. It grants +4 stats with extra true damage scaling off Alcryst's good speed. It's a neat weapon for getting % DR access. It won't make Alcryst a tank, nor can you use it with close counter, but it's a fine inheritable. If Harp bow isn't to your liking, we went over many other inheritable weapons Alcryst can make use of, and most of them besides the arcane ones are free-to-play accessible. Brave or White Cap bow for quad potential, Lucrative or White Wind bow for no follow-up and attack and speed stacking, or the good old Golden Yo bow for those cheesy instant specials. If you want, Groom Alcryst can just use his Ream farm skills. You can pretty much grab the whole kit very easily. If you don't really care about Zero, but wanted a high-speed archer, and you don't mind he's red, then Groom Alcryst is a great free-to-play unit. He's got bonus W3 if you really want to pick up the tier 4. That'll be it for this video. Definitely get Alcryst and those sacred seals. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.